This is a 3-spirit solo playthrough of the board game Spirit Island using 3 custom spirits of my own design for which I claim no intellectual property. If you haven't played Spirit Island, you should still be able to follow along and basically understand what's going on. This is the island. These white pieces are the invaders who are trying to colonize the island. The invaders move according to these cards, which tell them in which land types to ravage, build, and explore. When the invaders ravage, they add blight and they kill the Dahan, the native people. And your job as a spirit is to stop that. So let's look briefly at our 3 spirits. Our first spirit is Sparkle of the Bottomless Void. This is a space spirit with high complexity, powerful defense, strong growth options, low energy. This spirit is good at keeping the empty parts of the land empty, but it struggles to get into the cities. Our second spirit is Mycelius Swell Like the Sea, a fungal spirit, moderate complexity, well-rounded. It can do a lot of things, and its main power, Ergot Dance Plague, causes the invaders to cluster in one land and struggle to ravage. Our third spirit is Godzilla, a low complexity spirit of strong offense that stomps around the board, destroying cities. Let's move around and get the game going. So the invaders, for their first move, are going to explore in the mountains. So we'll do that. And then we will slide this card over. And this is a house rule. You're not supposed to flip this card until the moment that they explore it, which makes the game more thrilling and exciting. I like to flip it now, which makes it more of a low-stress puzzle game. We know exactly whether they're going to explore in wetlands. We can plan for that. In keeping with the low-stress vibe of this game, I'm not using event cards. We're using the nicest Blighted Island card, Age from Lesser Spirits, and we're using a relatively easy and simple adversary, Prussia level 4. So let's take a closer look at our 3 spirits while we prepare for our first turn. These tokens here are presence. As your presence comes off of the spirit board and goes onto the island board, it unlocks these powers here. And our initial presence placement, which actually should have been done before the Explorer, but we'll do it now. Your initial presence placement is different for each spirit, and for this spirit, the rule is you can be placed in any 2 lands without invaders. And more generally, this spirit has a rule where your presence may only be added to lands that already have your presence or lands without invaders. And the reason is that the presence represents a different thing for every spirit. There's a volcano spirit where your presence is literal volcanoes. For this spirit, what your presence represents is the gaze of your spirit down from space, and it may only be dropped in places of complete darkness. We're going to start with it here and here, just to get close to all of these invaders around here. So let's go and look to our first turn. We have very powerful growth options, and this is inspired by the space spirit in the official game, Starlight Seeks Its Form, which also has flexible growth options. We get to pick 3 of these 5 things every turn. We can reclaim half, we can add a presence, and in addition to that, we get to do one of these 3 things. So we don't need to reclaim in the first turn. We're going to add, and this is the best presence to add because it gets us our first card play. Let's add it here, and we've done one of our growth options, add a presence. We get +1 card play. Let's just assume we're going to do that now. So we get 2 card plays, and on top of that, we get to gain a power card. And the way we draw a card is we take the top 4 cards off the deck, and we pick 1. Now, the first thing we look at before we even look at what the cards do is a look at the elements. This card has the perfect elements for our second innate power. This card almost makes us too powerful. Also, this card has a cost of 1. We don't have a lot of energy, and we need a stack of 2 presences, so we're probably not going to get to use this until late in the game. Let's not take this. Instead, I want to take this card because it exactly matches our first innate power, as do all of our cards. It will give us that moon and that air will give us good defense, and it has a cost of 0, which is good. And what it does is it allows us to move Dahan, which is always helpful. This spirit gets all of its damage from Dahan counterattacks, so anything that helps us move Dahan is good. We're going to take this card. We're not going to play it yet, though. Let's look at what cards we're going to play. This spirit comes with 4 cards, and this one stops an Explorer, this one stops a Build, this one stops a Ravage, and this one gives us Stuff. On the first turn, you usually don't want to play these 2, we usually want to play these two and stop a build and stop and explore. Now, to keep track of what I'm doing and where in this complex multi-spirit game, I'm going to use these reminder tokens. I made these during COVID. They're all two-sided. The icons represent defend, damage, gather, push, and miscellaneous. So we're going to put a miscellaneous here to remind me that I'm going to stop a build there. And we'll put a damage here to remind me that we're going to remove that explorer. So let's take a closer look at our second spirit, our fungal spirit. Mycelia swell like the sea. Our initial presence placement for this spirit is 1 in any jungle and 1 in any mountain or wetland. We're going to go here to be centrally located and over here. And let's look at our growth options. This spirit has more typical growth options, and instead of mix and match, you pick one out of these 3 clusters. And usually for the first turn, we want to do this one because we can add a presence farther if we need to, and we get that 2 energy to stock up on energy for later. So we'll take the 2 energy, we'll add this presence, and the best place to add it is here. And to explain why, we're going to take a look at our cards. By the way, these 3 cards, these images are all from art by the Spanish artist Remedios Varo. We're going to take a close look at this card. This is a photo I took, and the name of this card is Zounds, the Earth is Alive. And the idea is an explorer eats a psychedelic mushroom, understands the Earth is alive, and loses interest in the colonization process. So he's not killed, he's just removed. And if there's Dahan in the land, he converts to Dahan, and we get an extra Dahan. So the obvious place to play that card is right here, and we'll make a note of that. And for our second card, we don't need to defend. We don't want to spend 2 energy yet. We're going to play Feed on Moonbeams for our second card. This card costs 1 energy, so we have to pay for it. And now let's take a look at our third spirit, Godzilla. Where other spirits spread their presence out around the map, Godzilla's presence is all in one giant stack. And the initial presence placement for that stack is where else? In the ocean. So for our first turn growth options, we're going to take the middle growth option and add immediately 2 presence right away. And we'll add 2 more presence to the top of the stack. And we'll take our 2 energy and we'll figure out our cards. Now, later on in the game, Godzilla will unlock the ability to move 2 spaces per turn, but he doesn't have that yet, and the only way he can move in this turn is to use this card, Seek Terrible Vengeance, which allows Godzilla to move into any land with a city or with blight. So we'll make a note that he's going to move into this city and destroy it, and we'll figure out our second card. For our second card, we want to pay 1 energy for the Atomic Breath and use our Atomic Breath to kill this guy. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll play these cards later. We are now in the fast phase of the turn, and Godzilla comes over here and breathes on this guy, and he's gone. Now we'll move over to our Space Spirit, who has 1 fast card. You can tell the fast cards because they're red here and here. So our fast card is Lazy with Redolent Vapors. And the idea of this card is that our spirit, by connecting to the plant element, entices the plants to make such beautiful smelling vapors that the invaders do not build on this turn. Now, all of our powers of this spirit require your presence to be in the land, but this one allows us to gather presence into the land if it's not there already. So we're going to gather this presence into here, and when they build, they will not build. Now we'll move over to our fungus spirit, who has 2 fast cards. We've already mentioned Zounds, the Earth is Alive. Let's just do that now. This guy eats a mushroom and he converts into a Dahan. And for our other fast card, Feed on Moonbeams. Spirit gains 1 moon, 1 of any element, and 1 energy. If I hadn't made it clear already, the elements, you get the elements from playing these cards, and then whatever elements you have in these cards tell you what powers you can have here. So for this one, we're going to take our energy, and we have 1, 2, 3 moons, but that's still not enough to do anything. But for our extra element, we're going to take air, which will allow us to do the Ergot Dance Plague here, and we'll cover that in the slow phase. We now enter the invader phase, And the invaders are going to build in the mountains and explore in the wetlands. So we'll look at to build, they have to have something in the land that they're building in. So they're gonna build a town there. That guy converted to a Han, so they don't build there. Because they're sniffing the flowers, they don't build there. They'll build a city here. If there's more towns than cities, they build a city. And that guy got fried by Godzilla, but they're gonna build a town. And now they're exploring the wetlands. Let's do that off screen. Now we enter our slow phase, and let's go back to our fungus spirit and the ergot dance plague. And this is something that actually happened in medieval Europe, where ergot fungus would get into rye grain, and whole towns would start tripping and erupting in compulsive dance. So because we're on the first level of this, we get to add one disease and gather one explorer. This is our disease token, and the cool thing about this game is these tokens represent different things depending on what the spirit is or what the card is. In terms of gameplay, this disease token means we skip the next build action in this land. In terms of lore, this represents a given quantity of grain that has ergot growing in it, and will make these people dance. So they're already dancing a little bit, and this explorer is going to run over there to join the dance. And now neither of these wetlands are going to build next turn when they build in the wetlands. So that's the end of our fungus slow phase. Now we'll move over to Godzilla. Godzilla has two slow powers, to Seek Terrible Vengeance and this one. So we'll start with this card, Gather All Presence, gain one energy, push all to Han. Let's gain that energy, and that represents how excited Godzilla is to rush into a city to destroy it. We also push all to Han. Let's have this to Han run into there, and we will now go to our other slow power, destroy one town or city at range 0. So this city is destroyed. We'll get 2 fear from that. We'll cover that in a minute. That is the end of our Godzilla slow phase, and now we'll move over to our space spirit. So our space spirit has 2 slow powers. Let's start with this card, the Abyss Stares Back. The idea is it has to be in a land with no towns or cities. Out there in the dark, your explorer is staring up into space, and you stare back and cause him to go mad. Note that he is not destroyed, he's only removed. Maybe he goes wandering into the nearest city and starts raving in the streets, which is where the fear comes from. Also, this is another way that we can move presence around. If you don't have a presence in the land, you may gather a presence, and then you have to have a presence there to do the thing. So let's do that. Let's go over here. This presence is gathered into here. This guy stares at the sky. He goes mad, and we get a fear. Now our second slow power is called Beguile and Transmute, and this is just a bunch of little things that we can do with these elements. If we have a green, which we do, then for each earth, which we have one, we can gather or push one to Han. So let's go over here and let's pull this to Han, the same one that ran out of the away from Godzilla. Let's pull this to Han into here where he might help us later. Godzilla has no use for Dahan, so any Dahan that we can pull into our own lands should be helpful. So that's the end of our slow phase, and let's discard and figure out the next turn. We also have to slide these down. So we got this, and because of our Prussian efficiency and the surge of colonists, we're going to get a double explore next turn. And I almost forgot fear. So because we destroy a city, that gives us 2 fear. Because we frighten this explorer, that gives us 1 fear. We get 3 fear. When all these fear get into here, we'll flip a card over. So let's go into our next turn. In our next turn, they're going to ravage, build, and explore in those land types. So let's go over our space spirit and see what we need to do. Okay, they're going to ravage in these mountains, and we're just going to let that happen. We can't stop them. We can stop this, and the reason we can stop this is with this wonderful power, Ravishing Stars. And the idea is the stars are so beautiful that the invaders, instead of doing their job of destroying the land and killing Dahan, just sit out there staring at the stars. And the great thing about this is these elements, air and moon, we have on all 4 of our cards. So it doesn't matter which cards we play, any 2 cards will get that defend. So which cards do we want to play? Well, these 2 we play last turn, and we can't reclaim both. We can only reclaim half. We could reclaim this and stop a build here, but we don't need to stop a build here. We can stop them next turn on the Ravage. We're going to leave this, and we're going to reclaim this card to stop explorers because they're doing so much exploring this turn. For our second growth option, we're going to add a presence. We're going to add this presence, which gives us a second card play. We'll figure out later where to put it. We know we're going to put that presence somewhere. And for our second card, we're going to play this one, Everything Flows, which gives us either another power card or some energy. For our third growth option, we don't need a third card play. We could gain a power card, but we're probably going to gain a power card here. So I'm going to take one earth and one energy. And the great thing about that, we don't really need the energy yet, but this earth, if we have this earth and this water, that will allow us to gather or push 2 explorers on land when they're doing extra exploration. So that's going to be our third growth option. Let's go and look at our next spirit. So coming around to our fungus spirit, again, if we look at the board, there's going to be a ravage there. We're just going to let it happen. We don't have to worry about any builds. We can use this turn to build up our strength. So for adding presence, note that all 3 of these growth options allow us to add a presence. This one lets us go farther away. We don't need to add a presence at that distance. We're doing okay in energy, so we don't need to get energy. The middle growth option, it's good to take this as often as possible because you get that power card. So we're going to take the middle growth option. We're going to add a presence, and given that we're doing okay in energy, I'm going to continue to chase the bottom track, which gives us more card plays, rather than the top track, which gives us more energy. So we're going to add a presence, and we're going to add it here. And the reason is that we know that they're going to explore there, and that next turn we can turn that explorer into a Dahan. Now we've got a reclaim 1 here and a reclaim 1 here, so we can actually reclaim both of our cards, and we'll figure out in a minute which cards to play. But first, we also get to gain a power card. So let's look at the 4 cards off the top of the deck, and this is an easy choice if you look at these, because this one has such good elements. It's got all the elements we need except for air. We don't even care what it does, and what it does is to gain a minor power card. So we're going to get a lot of cards in this game. That's the great thing about this game, is that the cards make every playthrough different. So we're going to take this card, and now we'll figure out which cards to play. So if we look at our 5 cards, we don't need to defend. This one's too expensive. We don't want to. It's not a good time to play it yet. This card is best played when you have a land with both Explorer and Dahan, which we don't have. So let's play these 2 cards. And I almost forgot, we've got an energy here, so we do get 1 more energy. So that's what we're going to do, and let's figure out our next spirit. So coming around to Godzilla. If we look at our board, we've got Ravage, Ravage, Build, Build. We can't stop any of them. Godzilla is not good at stopping things. He's good at destroying things. And the nice thing about a cooperative game is the spirits can help each other out. We've got our space spirit over here that's bad at built up areas. So we're going to go over and help our space spirit out by destroying that city. The way we're going to do it is, once again, we can add double presence. So we're going to add 2 presence to there, and that unlocks a move a presence and a reclaim 1. So we're going to move our presence into there, and for our reclaim 1, we're going to reclaim this card, which will allow us to move our presence into the city at the end. So we've got 1 more card play, and let's look at our other cards. These are both expensive cards. Summon Mothra allows us a great range to do 2 damage, and Fearsome Roar allows us at medium range to completely paralyze a land. We could use Fearsome Roar to paralyze this land, stop the Ravage, and save that Dahan. I'm going to let that Dahan die. I'm going to summon Mothra and take out this town. So we will put this card over here. We will take our 2 energy, and we'll pay for this card, and we'll go look at our next spirit. Now, the last thing we left hanging is our space spirit has not yet decided where to put this presence. So since Godzilla is helping us out by destroying the city for us, we're going to help Godzilla out and help to keep the middle of the board empty. So we're going to put this presence here, and that's the end of our preparation. Now we can go straight into our fast phase. So we'll start with this spirit. We've got 1 fast card, Everything Flows. Gain a minor power card. You may forget it to gain 2 energy. You may forget a card you already have to gain 1 energy. And the kicker, this energy can modify your cards in play this turn. So we could use this card if we want to get energy, put the energy on this card, and move it from slow to fast. This card is often used to charge up this card, which we haven't got to yet. Since we're not using this card, we probably don't want to take the 2 energy. We probably want to take a card. So let's see what cards we have. Again, drawing the top 4 cards off the deck. This is what you've got. And it's obvious which one we want. This one has a cost of 0. All the others cost 1. This one gives us Earth, which we really like, and none of the others give us Earth. So is this or none? Let's see what it does. Strong and constant currents. We can push explorers or towns, and we can also move to Han. This is always good for this spirit to move to Han. The only catch is it only works in coastal lands, but we're still going to take this, and we'll surely find a way to use it later on in the game. So let's move around to our next spirit, our fungal spirit, and figure out our fast move. Our fast move is Feed on Moonbeams. Spirit gains 1 moon, 1 any, 1 energy. We'll take the energy, and for 1 any, we're definitely going to take another air, which will allow us to use the Urgot Dance Plague. So let's move around to Godzilla. Godzilla is all slow, no fast. So we are now done with our spirit fast phase, and we can move around to the invader phase. The invaders are going to ravage in the mountains, build in the wetlands, and do a lot of exploring. So let's go over here to our first ravage, and I'll explain how combat works. It's very simple. A city does 3 damage and has 3 health. A town does 2 damage and has 2 health. A Dahan also does 2 damage and has 2 health. And an explorer, 1 damage and 1 health. So the invaders go first. Right here we have 1 and 2 is 3 damage, but we also have defend 3. So that is canceled out. They do 0 damage, and we can take 1. 1 is not bad. 2 is bad, but it's 0. So the Dahan counterattack does 4 damage, and these are all killed. We'll put this here to remind us to do the fear later. Now we go to the other ravages. The invaders ravage here, and they ravage here, and they ravage here. At all 3, they blight the land, and this Dahan is killed. And those blights, those blights came off of our blight card, which is now down to 3 blights before we have to flip from a healthy island to blighted island. Build in wetlands. There's nobody there. This build is canceled by this disease token, which is now removed. And then we have 3 builds here, here, and here. And now we'll come around here and explore in jungle and sand, and we'll do that with a jump cut. That is a lot of invaders. Now let's go over here and start our slow phase with our space spirit. We've got the abyss stares back, and we're going to do that here, and this guy is going to stare into space and go mad, and we'll get a fear for that. We've also got Big Island Transmute, and with 2 earths and 1 water, we can gather or push 2 explorers. So we're going to do it here, and we're going to gather both of these explorers into here so that they will not be in these lands to build next turn. Let's go over to our fungus spirit. And let's take care of this this card first. Gift of Power, gain a minor power card. So these are the 4 cards that we've drawn, and the elements are all pretty good. And when I don't see a clear winner in terms of elements, I like to go with the vibe of the spirit, with the thing that fits what the spirit likes to do. So I'm going to take this one, Teeming Rivers, which will allow us at some point to certainly remove some blight. We'll add that to our deck, and we'll come around to, oh wait, we still have more things to do here. For our Urgot Dance Plague, I'm going to do it here. That will stop them from building a city next turn, and it will also pull this guy in and stop him from building a town next turn. And we can actually remove a blight. Got 1, 2, 3 moons, a blue and a green. So we can remove a blight from a land where we have a stack of 2 or more presences. And we can do that because we also can gather a presence into a land with blight. So I'm going to gather this presence into here, which gives us enough presence to remove that blight. Okay, now we move around to Godzilla. Godzilla has 3 different slow powers this turn. Let's start with the cards. We've got Seek Terrible Vengeance. So Godzilla will move into this land, and for doing so, he gets an energy, And we've got Summon Mothra. Mothra's going to fly over here and destroy that town, which will give us a fear. And finally, we've got Cleanse the Earth, Destroy One Town City. So Godzilla is going to destroy this city, which will give us another 2 fear. We are now done with our slow phase, and we'll go around and slide these cards down and see what's coming up. Another mountain, and let's take care of our fear. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fears generated. So we'll move 5 fears over here. Still not enough to turn a card around. So it's a new turn, let's figure out what to do. So once again, we'll start with our space spirit. This is a high complexity spirit, not so much because it has complex rules, but because it has so many options that it takes a long time to figure out the best option. So what we've got to deal with this turn is there's gonna be a Ravage there, and because of those explorers we pulled in, defend 3 is not gonna be enough. We've also got a build there, there, and there, and all 3 of those, there's gonna be a Ravage next turn if we don't deal with it. My first thought is to let this go and pull those Dahan out of there, and we can do that with this card, Strong and Constant Currents, which allows us to move 2 Dahan between a coastal land and any other coastal land. We could Dunkirk these out of here and let that go, but I think a better move is to go all out defending that and to let this go. And we can also deal with this and this, the extra defense that we need, by using this card. This card is the reason I had to make this a low energy spirit, because otherwise it would just be too powerful. For X energy, gather up to X explorers and or Dahan, defend X. This card allows you to fine-tune a Ravage into a total massacre by the Dahan. And we're going to charge it up by putting 1 energy on it that we already have, and by getting 1 more energy by again taking this 1 energy, 1 earth growth option. We'll see it work in detail when we play the turn. We also want to reclaim cards, and we can reclaim 2 with half round up. We can reclaim 2 of these 3. We're going to take these 2, but we're only going to play this one, and we're going to stop a build here because we're going all in on trying to protect that land. And we get to add a presence. It'd be tempting to try to go for the 3rd card play, but I think it's better to start getting some energy, moving toward getting some energy. So we're gonna take this presence and let's put it there. Now we'll come around and plan our move for our fungus spirit. After considering our options, I decided to take the 3rd growth option and really load up on energy. So we've got 2 energy, and 1 energy is 3 more energy. And we're doing so well on energy, we can continue to go bottom track and add this presence, which will get us up to 3 card plays. We're gonna add it here to help on later on with that blight. With 3 card plays, we do have a reclaim. We're gonna reclaim this one, but we're not gonna play it yet. For the cards we're gonna play, it's gonna be these 3. And 2 of these we have not seen yet in action, but I'll cover those when we play them. So we'll pay for those, that's a total of 4 energy, and we will go around to the next spirit. Now, if you play Godzilla right, you can do this. You can add double presence on each of the first 3 turns if you're careful with your cards. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna add double presence again. And this gets us up to 3 energy and 3 card plays. We can't even play 3 cards. We only have 2 cards to play. We have this one, and we can reclaim 1, and we'll reclaim this one, Atomic Breath, Fearsome Roar, a total cost of 3, and we get our 3 energy, which we'll use to pay for those cards. And also we can move a presence, move Godzilla. I haven't put those 2 on top because I'm afraid to knock it over, but we're gonna move Godzilla there, and that will set us up for our move in the fast phase, which we will now enter. So starting with our space spirit, we've got 3 different fast powers. We've got a defend 3 there, which we've already marked. We've got lazy with redolent vapors. We're gonna stop a build. We're gonna slide this into here and make a note with this that they're not gonna build. And finally, we've got the Sky Cries Ambush. For 2 energy, that gives us an additional defend 2 there, and we can pull in up to 2 explorers Dahan. We're going to pull these 2 in, which clears out this land. So coming around to our fungal fast phase, we've got first Zounds, the Earth is Alive, which we're playing here. This explorer is going to eat a mushroom and convert to the Dahan, and instead of building a town, he's going to build this nice little hut. Now, we've got, this is a card we haven't covered yet, Spores Become Thorns. This is the one thing that this spirit does that real fungus does not do, and that is weaponize spores. This gives us 2 fear and defend 3. We're playing it here, so defend 3 will be enough to defend that, and 2 fear, we'll move these 2 fear over. We're getting close to being able to turn over a fear card. And that is the end of our fast phase for fungus. Let's go over to Godzilla. Godzilla has 2 fast powers this turn, Fearsome Roar and Atomic Breath. Fearsome Roar causes 2 fear, invaders skip next action target land, isolate target land. We'll get to the isolate later, but if we do the Fearsome Roar here, they're too paralyzed with fear to ravage, which they would otherwise do. And then the Atomic Breath, 1 damage for each blight in target land, plus 2 damage. This is why it's good for Godzilla to allow some blight, because Godzilla's going to turn around and blast this land he just left with the Atomic Breath, which is now going to do not 1 but 3 damage and destroy both of these. That town gives us another fear. We've now generated 3 fear, which brings us to the fear phase, which is in between the fast phase and the invader phase. We just generated 3 fears, so there's 2 fear, and that rolls us over, and 1 more fear, and that allows us to flip around a fear card and see what it says. Avoid the Dahan. Invaders do not explore in the lands with at least 2 Dahan. This is going to help us because we've got 2 different lands that have at least 2 Dahan where they would otherwise explore. So we'll get to that with the Explorer. Now let's do the Ravage. Starting with this land where the invaders have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defense. So that's 1 damage, which is enough to wound a Dahan, but they still counterattack at full strength. So 6 damage by the Dahan will kill all of them. Now we've got this land. They do 4 damage. We have 3 defense from the Spores Become Thorns. So 1 damage, again, is not enough to do anything. Over here, they don't ravage because they're still paralyzed with fear from Godzilla's Fearsome Roar. Here they do ravage. 3 damage will blight the land. Now we'll do the builds, which is in every sand and jungle. So they'll build a town here. They'll build another town in this sand. They will not build a town here because they're dancing, but we now remove this disease token. There's a town in this jungle and a town here, and they don't build there because they're sniffing flowers. So now we'll come around. Before we explore, we've got one more thing. This icon is our stage 2 escalation, and that's different for every adversary. For Prussia, on each board with towns or cities, add a town to a land without a town, and we get to decide which lands those are. And I'm going to add all 3 towns to coastal lands, and the reason is something I haven't explained yet, and that is that Explorer doesn't automatically happen everywhere. It only happens in lands that are adjacent to a town, a city, or the ocean. So if we can get the middle of the land, the middle of the board cleared out, then there'll be less exploring in the middle of the board. So now let's do our Explore in the mountains. And because of our fear card, they do not explore in lands with 2 or more Dahan. So we've got 4 mountain explorers. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we enter our slow phase. Our space spirit has 1 slow move with 1 earth and 1 plant. We can gather or push 1 Dahan. I'm going to go here. I'm going to pull this Dahan into here because we know they're going to build a city there, and that will give us enough Dahan to kill them all on the counterattack. So we'll come around to our fungus spirit. Starting with Ergot Dance Plague, we now have enough elements to get to the 2nd level, so we can gather an additional explorer or town, and we can add a strife. It can only be done with towns and cities. Luckily, the invaders put a town there, so we can do the Ergot Dance Plague there and continue our strategy of moving stuff toward the coast. We're going to pull in this town, we're going to pull in this explorer, and let's add a strife to one of those towns. And now we come into our second slow power, fungal remediation. And we have enough elements to pull this presence into there and to dissolve that blight. And for our final slow power, wood dissolves the soil. We can do 2 damage for each presence to a town or city. And you might think we would use 2 presence here and dissolve this city, but I'm going to continue our strategy of clearing the middle of the board and dissolve this town. So we'll put that there. That'll give us a fear. Now we move around to Godzilla. Godzilla's only slow power is cleanse the earth wherever he is. He can destroy a town or city. So we'll destroy this town, we'll put in the fear, and we'll come around and take our fears and we'll slide down the cards. So coming up, we've got ravage in jungle and sand, build in mountains, and explore in all coastal lands. So let's come around to our space spirit and plan our next turn. At this stage of the game, I'm going to speed up the pace and stop going explicitly through the growth options. I'm going to go straight into fast phase and just explain what I've done with the growth options. I've reclaimed these 2 cards and also played this one, which means I've taken the +1 card play growth option. I've added this presence here and taken an energy, and we'll go into the fast phase. Everything flows, gain a minor power card. I've looked at these power cards and I don't like any of them. None of them have good elements, so I've just taken the 2 energy instead of the card. And for other fast card, lazy with redolent vapors, we're going to slide this presence into there and stop a build. Coming around to our fungal spirit, I've just learned that this card, Spores Become Thorns, is a real thing. It's called a fungal storm, in which great winds can kick up enough spores to cause a serious illness. So we've played this card and this card after reclaiming them. We've taken the middle growth option and drawn this card, which we're also playing, Call of Dahan Ways. And we've added a presence here, which will allow us to use, as long as the earth is alive, to have this guy eat a mushroom and join the Dahan. We also get, for this card, Spores Become Thorns, we get 2 fear, which we'll take right now. And then we'll go around to our third spirit, Godzilla. Godzilla has finally had to take this growth option, Reclaim All. Once we've unlocked the 3rd card play, Reclaim 1 is just not going to cut it. So we're probably going to have to do a lot of reclaiming from here out. With this reclaim, we get to draw a card. We picked this card purely for the elements. Plant and animal, we need animal for all of this stuff, and plant will allow us to eventually remove blight. We have moved Godzilla into here, and using our 1 fast card, we are now going to do the Atomic Breath, and since there's blight, this does 3 damage, and these are both gone, and we'll get a fear for destroying that town. Now we enter the invader phase, in which the invaders will ravage in jungle and in sand. So here, the invaders ravage, and it's defended by the stars, and the counterattack by the Dahan will kill all these guys. This ravage is also defended by the fungal storm. One of the Dahan is wounded, and the counterattack again kills all of them. We've also got a ravage here, which will add a blight, and a ravage here, which will add a blight. Now, build in the mountains. This build is blocked by the flower vapors. Here, they build a city. Here, they build a city. Here, they build a city. And here, they build a town. The invaders will now explore in all 9 coastal lands. Now entering the slow phase with our space spirit, we have 2 slow powers. We've got the Abyss Stares Back, so this guy stares in space, goes mad, and he's gone, and we get a fear for that. And we are finally down to the 3rd level of our Beguile and Transmute, which means we have the elements to get all 3 of these things, gather or push an Explorer, gather or push a Dahan, and add one of these tokens, which they're officially called wilds. I like to call them brambles. We can do all 3 of those things, but the default rule for all innate powers is they have to all be done in the same land. So I'm gonna pick this land because we can do three good things. We can push this Dahan into here so that next turn on the Ravage he'll get killed. We can pull this Explorer into here just to reduce the population here. And then we'll add the Bramble. And what that Bramble does is cancel the next Explorer in that land. So coming around to our Fungal Spirit, we've got Call of the Dahan Ways. Replace an Explorer with a Dahan, or if you have 2 moons, which we definitely do, we have 3 moons, you can replace a whole town with a Dahan. So I've already marked where I want to do this. This town is going to go away and convert into a Dahan. And we've got our fungal remediation. We've got the elements, but there's no blight left. We've removed it all. So for our Ergot Dance Plague, we only have 2 earths this time. So we're back to the first level of this. We can add disease and gather and explore, and the obvious place to do it is here. And now we come around to Godzilla. And Godzilla has a lot going on. First, we've got Summon Mothra, and Mothra's gonna fly up and destroy this town. Next, we've got Seek Terrible Vengeance. Godzilla is gonna move into this land, and we get an energy for that. And now we've got Cleanse the Earth. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these red animal elements, and which gets us down to the more powerful things. And if you notice, these 2 elements here are the same as these 2 elements here, and these 2 here are the same as these 2 here. And what that represents is if the atomic breath is in play, then Godzilla gets to do an extra atomic breath, or some damage from that wherever he is. And if Mothra is in play, then Mothra can come and help out Godzilla wherever he is. So first, we destroy this city, and then with a stack of 9 presences, the atomic breath does an extra 3, and Mothra does an extra 3, and these are all wiped out. So that's the end of our slow phase. Let's come around and count our fear. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fears, and there happen to be 7 fears in here. So we roll over the fears, and we turn over a card, and our fear card, which will activate next turn between the fast phase and the invader phase, is Defend 2 in all lands with presence. That's going to help us out a tiny bit. So now we'll slide the cards down and go to the next turn. So in the coming turn, we've got Ravaging Mountains, Build and Coastal, Explore and Jungle, plus the extra towns. We'll come over to our Space Spirit. Now, a rule for this spirit that I haven't mentioned to keep it from getting too much energy in reserve is Harrowing Aurora. During each time past this phase, discard all but 2 of your energy. 1 fear per energy discarded. So we have 3 energy. We will discard 1, and we get a fear for that. And because of our fear card, Defend 2 in all areas with presence, we have a Defend 2 here already. So we only need, our spirit only needs to Defend 3 there and does not need to Defend 5, which gives us more flexibility with cards. We've taken our +1 card play growth option, and we've added this presence here, and we're going to use our free move of presence to move this presence into here, which gives us range 0 for this card, Strong and Constant Currents, which allows us to push this Explorer into here. So now they're not going to build there. And now they're also not going to build there either, because this card allows us to gather that same presence back into here and make the vapors to stop them from building. We also need to take our 1 energy. So now we'll go around to our Fungus Spirit. So over here, we have taken our first growth option, add a presence at range 0. We've added a presence here, and reclaim half +1 has allowed us to reclaim all but 1 of our cards, and we've played these 3. Feed on Moonbeams, we will take our air and take our energy. And Zounds the Earth is Alive, this is a card that scales with presence. So for each of your presence in target land, remove 1 Explorer. So because we now have 3 presence, all 3 of these Explorers can now eat mushrooms and check out. There's no Dahan in the land, so they don't join the Dahan. they go off and do their own thing. So now let's come around to Godzilla. Godzilla has once again taken the Reclaim All growth option. We get to gain a power card. We've gained this card, Savage Maw Beasts, which we're not going to play yet. We're going to play these three. And for our fast phase, we've got Atomic Breath. Because there's a Blight here, our Atomic Breath does 3 damage, and those guys are both gone. That's the end of our fast phase, and before we get to the Invader phase, I want to talk a little bit about Blight. The Blight we've been putting on the board comes off of this card, and the rule says when there's ever no Blight on this card, flip it. But the game designer later issued an update saying the rule should be if there's ever no Blight here, and if you need one more Blight, then you flip the card to Blighted Island. So I think we're going to just barely squeak by. We're going to add both of these Blights right now, and because they're going to Blight, they're going to ravage here and Blight this land, and they're going to ravage here and Blight this land, and here this guy is going to wound the Dahan but be killed in the counterattack, and these guys are going to wound one Dahan, but the counterattack is going to kill all 3 of them. Now the invaders build in coastal lands. If there's more towns and cities, they build a city. So the city there, and there's a town. This build is stopped by the vapors, and these 2 builds are stopped by the dancing, but these tokens are now removed. Now before we do the Explore, we've got the Stage 2 escalation, which means on each board a town and a land without a town, and we're going to put them all on the coasts again. If we put the town here, then they'll explore here. We'll put it here instead. We'll put this one here and this one here to be killed next turn. Now the Explore in all jungles, except this one, which is not adjacent to any towns, cities, or coasts. So let's place those. Now we come over to our Space Spirit, and we'll start with Beguile and Transmute. And for the first time, we've got 2 mountains and a blue and a green, which gets us all the way down to this level of this power. We get to gather or push an Explorer and a Dahan and add a Bramble and remove a Blight, and we're going to do it here. We're going to pull this in. Let's pull this Dahan in, and we'll add another Bramble. They're not going to explore there for the rest of the game, and we will remove this Blight. And now we come around to this card. The Abyss stares back, and again it scales with presence. For each of your presence, remove 1 Explorer, and we can gather a presence. So we're going to do it here. We'll gather this presence, which will allow us to remove both of these. These guys both stare at the sky and go mad. Note that we still only get 1 fear. That's it for our Space Spirit slow. Let's go around to our Fungus slow. For our fungal remediation power, we easily have enough elements to remove this Blight, so we'll put it back on the Blight card. For our Urgot Dance Plague, between this free element here and this free element here, we now have enough elements to get all the way down to the 3rd level of this, which means we get to add a disease and 2 strifes and gather up to 1 Explorer and 2 towns. We'll fiddle with those tokens in a minute, but we're going to pull in this town and this Explorer and this town. And now for our Wood Dissolves to Soil, we can do 2 damage per presence, 6 damage. I'm going to take out all 3 of these towns. So they're really dancing, and these towns are really dissolving. Now let's go around to Godzilla. Godzilla has 3 slow powers. First, for Seek Terrible Vengeance, we're going to slide Godzilla into there. And then for Cleanse the Earth, we can destroy a city, and with the Atomic Breath in play, we can do an extra 3 damage. And we've got both the blue and the green, so we can also remove a Blight. So I will now do that off screen. Finally, with this card, Tormenting Rotflies, I'm going to use this to generate fear. So if we can find sand with invaders and with Blight, we can generate 3 fear, and that's right here. So that's 3 fear. Let's go around now. That's the end of our slow phase. Let's go around and count our fear. We've got the 3 we just got. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There happen to be just 11 fears in here left. So that's enough to turn over another fear card, and we're gonna need it. This fear card says, each player chooses a different coastal land with Dahan, and each 1 damage per Dahan. So knowing that, let's slide our cards down and go to the next turn. We are now in stage 3 of the invasion, which means from here on, all these cards are going to be double. It's time to talk about winning and losing. One way to lose is if this blight comes off the card under the board, then we flip the card, revealing more blight, and all that blight also goes on the board. That's not going to happen. The other way we could lose is if we run out of cards. We've got about 4 turns before we run out of cards. To win, right now, we would need to completely wipe the board of invaders. But if we flip this fear card, the victory condition will change to only destroying all the towns and cities. So we've got about 4 turns to do that. I think we can probably do it in 2. Starting with our Space Spirit, we had 3 energy here. We were forced to cash in 1 for a fear. We got 1 energy from here, which we put there. We added this presence to here, which gives us a little bit more leverage to clear out the middle of the board. With our free movement presence, we slid this presence into here. Now that we have 3 cards, we don't have to use our +1 card play to get a 3rd card play. So for our 3rd growth option, we took 1 energy and 1 earth. And now let's look at our cards. The Sky Cries Ambush with 1 energy. We're playing it here, and we can slide 1 Dahan into here, and we can get Defend 1, which with the help of our Fear card will be enough. For this card, Strong and Constant Currents, we're going to use this again, move up to 2 Dahan between target land and 1 other coastal land. So we're going to take these 2 Dahan, and they're going to ride the currents all the way around to the other side of the island and come in here to help with that land. Now, our 3rd card, Lazy with Redolent Vapors, we're going to use stop a build here by sliding this into there. Coming around to our Fungal Spirit, we have taken the middle growth option. We've added this presence here, and we've taken our 3 energy, and we've reclaimed 2, and we've gained, for power cards, we've gained this card, which we've immediately played. Hazard Spread across the island. We're mainly playing this for the elements, but we're going to go ahead and take this option anyway to pay 1 energy to add a disease. We'll do that here. We might not even need it. And we paid energy here, we gained energy here, so that evens out. Coming around to Godzilla, we've once again taken this growth option to add 2 presences, and we've done it to unlock this 2nd movement. We've unlocked this 2nd movement to use this cool power, which I haven't mentioned yet. Your presence may move into, between, and out of oceans. For movement of your presence only, oceans on all boards are adjacent. So with 2 moves, we can now go 1, 2, and at the end of the turn, we can come in there and wipe out that city using this card, which we reclaimed. Our fast power, Fearsome Roar, 2 fear, invaders skip next action in target land, isolate target land. We're going to do that here, and so that we're going to skip that ravage. They're not going to ravage, and we're also going to get 2 fear. This brings us to our fear phase. Again, in 3 different coastal lands, we can do 1 damage per Dahan. So we'll start here. These 2 Dahan do 2 damage. They're going to kill that town. This Dahan will do 1 damage and kill that guy. And over here, these 2 Dahan, let's just have them kill both of those explorers. We are now in invader phase, in which the invaders are going to ravage in all coastlands. This guy does 1 damage and gets killed. These do no damage at all. Even if they're under strife, they still count as having ravaged, even though they do 0 damage. So the Dahan counterattack will destroy the city. And over here, that ravage, we can't stop it. So we gotta get a blight there. And here we've got defend 3. They do 3 damage, and the counterattack kills them all. And over here, we've got defend 1. The town does 2 damage. -1 is 1, and the Han counterattack kills that guy. And here they do not ravage because of the fearsome roar. So let's come around to the build. We've got build in jungle, and there's only one jungle in which there even are any invaders, this one, and that's blocked by the vapors. We've got explore in jungle and wetlands, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They do not explore either of these places because Godzilla's roar has paralyzed and isolated this land, and because it's isolated, it cannot be used as a source of explorers. So let's go around. Let's start with our fungus spirit for the slow phase. Starting with fungal remediation, we've used feed on moon beams to take 1, 2, 3 moons, plus this moon and the blue and the green. That gives us enough elements to slide this presence into here and remove this blight. Next, we're going to do Ergot Dance Plague, and it requires a town or city. So that's why we left this town standing, so that we could use it as the base for Ergot Dance Plague. We've got 1, 2, 3 Earths, which is enough for this level, so we get to gather 2 things, this and this, and add a strife and a disease. And finally, call it Dahan Ways. Because we have 2 moons, we can replace a town with a Dahan, and there's only 1 town left. It's this one. All right, let's move around to Godzilla. So Godzilla's action is all going to be in this land, and let's count up the damage. First of all, we get to destroy a city, and then we've got 1 damage per 3 presence. We have a stack of 11 presents, but it rounds down, so that's still only 3 damage. So we've got 3 damage, and with some Mothra, it's 2 damage. So let's come around here. First, we slide Godzilla in. 1 city, 1 city, 1 town. And that's Godzilla's move. And let's finish off with our Space Spirit's final move. We have enough elements to once again get to the 4th level of this. We can do all those things in 1 land. So of course we're going to do it here. We're going to remove this blight. We're going to add a bramble. We're going to push this dude into here so he gets killed in the Ravage next turn. And let's just pull in a Dahan. So that's that. Let's go over and count our fear. We've got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 9 fear. Coincidentally, we have exactly 9 fear in here. So that's enough to flip over 1 more fear card. We are now in terror level 2, which means we can win by destroying all towns and cities. And there's only 2 towns left. So I think we can win next turn. Let's do that. So here's how we do it. We're going to take advantage of this Ravage in the jungle. Our Space Spirit only needs to play this card again, push a town to an adjacent coastal land. We're going to push this town to there, and then we need to play just any 2 cards to get this defend 3. And that way, when they Ravage, the Dahan counterattack will destroy that town. Before that happens, Godzilla, in the growth phase, has used the 2 moves to move across land, here and here. He could have also gone through the ocean to there, and only needs to play this card, Atomic Breath, which will do 3 damage and destroy that. So that's it, we win. This was not intended to be a really hard challenge for these spirits. If I wanted that, I would have gone against England level 3. I've just been trying to showcase these spirits, and if you want to play with them, I'll have download links below where you can get the images from my website that you can print out. Okay, thanks for watching.